Hello, everyone. I'm Saleha, and this is Chai, Chat, and Community. Tonight, I'm chatting with Fabiola Campbell, founder of the Professional Migrant Women's Mentoring Program. Hello, Fabiola, and thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you. And hello, Saleha. Thank you for having me in your show. And thank you for letting me get to your audience and spread our word and our message for all those professional migrant women in Australia.
Thank you. Before I ask you about, what your organization does, can you tell us something about yourself, please?
Sure. So, my name is Fabiola Campbell. However, I was born Maria Fabiola Alvarado Colmenares because I so I am from Latin America. Um, and so I grew up. I was born here in Australia. Actually, my parents were living here in Australia. My dad was studying, and when I was 6 months old, we went back to Venezuela. That's where I grew up. My parents are Venezuelan, and I grew up speaking Spanish. And but also with an Australian passport
Yes.
and dual citizenship, I suppose. So when I was in my 20s, I decided to move to Australia and to see this place. And I had the fortune that I did have a passport that allowed me to do that. So this was one of my biggest adventures. Come to Australia and see the place where I was born.
Oh, great. Before we start, I think you need to move a little because you're getting pixelated still. I think it's your internet connection that.
Oh, I
Uh,
apologize for that, but it's
no,
been
no,
playing
no.
up a lot lately.
We'll just continue. Um, so, how and when did the idea of the professional migrant women come about, and what exactly does your organization do?
Well, so although, as I said before, I am Australian resident by birth, I did have to have an Australian passport to leave the country to begin with. As soon as I put a foot in this country, I realized that I was a migrant. So the funny thing is that growing up, I always saw myself as an Australian, but I didn't grow up speaking English. Um, I did study English in Venezuela at university, and I actually thought I could speak a little bit of English. But as I said, when I arrived here in the country, I realized that my English wasn't as good as I thought. Uh, Number one, and number two, I did realize that I wasn't as Australian as I thought I was. Um, I just didn't know so many things that makes you, part of a place, I suppose. I didn't know anything about popular culture in Australia. I didn't know anything about the music, about the food, about some of those events that mark the life of people in a place. And I did have all of those things, all of those reference points um, growing up in Venezuela. You know, the language, the friends, um, the music, and all of those events that were part of my life as a Venezuelan woman. So when I moved to Australia, although I was a fully fledged Australian citizen, in paper, I think
Yes,
the reality was very, very different
you were a
because
migrant. Yes.
I was a fully fledged migrant. And how did that, manifest? Well, first of all, I didn't speak the language. Second, I realized that I did not belong. I did not fit in. I was different. And the language is such a big important thing, but
Yes.
there are so many other things. I did not have any networks in here. I knew one or two people before coming, uh, and one of those persons was amazing in opening those doors for me. But one person doesn't make a network. So I did have to start from scratch. And in that process, I think I have to lose a lot of who I was back in Venezuela. I have to lose a lot of my identity, a lot of the things that made me who I thought I was. And also, as part of that process, I had to relearn, or I have to adopt other things as part of my new identity. Mind you, when I was going through these, nobody explained any of these to me, and I didn't know what was going on. It just felt confusing, frustrating. Um, Many times I lost hope, and I did come to Australia with education and skills and experience, and it felt that none of those things were useful for anything. I was very fortunate though, because I met somebody who became my partner at the time, and he is Australian, and he did have the networks and the know-how and the education and everything. In fact, his dad used to be an HR manager, and I had the privilege, I suppose, to learning from people that were very well connected and that knew what they were doing. And although I had all of those advantages, it took me 3 years to find my first professional job. And I thought that I was going to achieve that in 6 months. That was a huge wake up for me. And, when I thought that I was, before coming here, when I thought, oh, yeah, it might take me about 6 months to learn the language and find a job, I just didn't, I just couldn't see all the other challenges that were part of being a migrant. And I had them all, uh, every single one of them. I came here with a very high concept of myself, and day by day, that uh, idea about who I was got eroded little by little. And after, I don't know, a short time, I I I was doubting myself. I was doubting my skills. I was doubting if I was good for anything at all.
Wow.
Um, and I know that that happens to a lot of migrants, not only me. But anyway,
Yes, it
my journey went on. I find my first job. After that, the second one, uh, I got my second job, and so on until I had my child. I did have my child. I decided to quit my job. Um, and when my child was about 1.5 years old, I decided to go back to the job market, and I found exactly the same problems. So
wow.
I already
Same
had,
problem.
well, okay, not same problems, but similar challenges. I already had um, a qualification in Australia. I did have experience in Australia. I had skills in Australia, and still it was very difficult for me to to get back to the workforce. Um, so moving forward, 6 years from then, now I am a professional trainer for the city of Whittlesea, and And I have learned a lot of things about learning and about teaching others. And, I got to the point in my career where I wanted to do something else. And I was looking for that something else, something that not only could pay the bills, but that was meaningful. So I did embark in this journey of self discovery. And I realized that there were a few things that really resonated with me. So, and some of these things were around diversity and inclusion, about migration, about community, and about women. I did join a few community groups. I was participating actively in different activities related to gender. And I think that during that process, some things became started to become a little bit more clear for me. And I do remember August last year, I was listening to a podcast about inclusion. And to be honest with you, I can't remember who was the person being interviewed in that podcast, but he mentioned that um, one of the best ways to close a gap for any minority was through mentoring. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. Again, I didn't know what to do with that idea, but that was something that I put um, in my bank of ideas. And later that month, I met with a group of Latin American women, and I was talking about my experience. Uh, and this question came up: how did you do it? How did you manage to get your first job, or how did you manage to get where you are? And some of the things that they had in common was that they had been in the country for 1 or 2 years only, or less. And I think that's when I saw the gap and when I saw the opportunity. And when all of those things started to come together
Together.
and form an idea in my mind, I knew what it was to struggle to find a job or to get a job.
Yes.
I knew what it was to be a migrant, even though, at that time I had been in the country for 15 years already. Um, Even though I was very privileged, I also knew what it was to feel isolated. I mean, I said I was very privileged to have a partner and to be part of his network, but I also felt very lonely many times. And one of my highest values is connection. So I realized that I did have something to give. I did have something to share, and I did have the skills as a professional trainer, and as a facilitator. I did have the experience because I've learned a lot of things over the years, and learning is again one of my highest values: learning and sharing learning. And uh, and I had the motivation. So all of those things came together, and I saw myself as a person that could help other people or other women, uh, learning the things that they had to do to find that professional job that they wanted. Um, and that's how this idea came about, and it has been growing since.
So you basically mentor and help migrant women be job ready.
Correct. That's right. And I think there is an important distinction that is worth mentioning. Um, when women like you or me, Sal, migrate, we professional women, we come with education and we come with skills and we come with experience. So we're not teaching women how to do a job. What we're doing is teaching them how to get a job in Australia.
Yes.
because job search is very contextual to the place where you're at. And probably they're very skillful at getting a job in their countries, but not
Yes,
necessarily they are skillful at getting a job in Australia. And I think that's one of the things that people assume. Oh, well, if he or she is a professional, they should know how to get a job.
correct. Yes.
And that is absolutely not the case.
Now, we
Not the
both know
case.
that's not the case. Yes.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So those are the skills that that we share and that we teach um, the professional migrant women.
Thank you. Um, why only women, Fabiola?
Oh, why only women? That's a very good question. Look, I think I've always been a feminist. I think I was born a feminist. Even though I think back home, calling yourself a feminist was a bad thing. That was a bad word because I think, especially back in my country, being associated with feminism was also being associated with um,
Bra burning, is
women.
it?
Yes, yeah, being unreasonable, being
Yes. Having an opinion.
yes.
Yes.
But but my mom worked in an organization that empower women, and coming from a patriarchal society,
Yes.
um, I saw how women had so much potential that they were not using or not sharing. Now, being here in Australia, although we have a more open society, is still very patriarchal. And
Yes.
we know, and all the studies and stats and all the anecdotes that we have, we know for a fact that men have way more opportunities than women.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and then why not? Why not level the playing field?
Yes.
Uh, so if we know that some workplaces are treated like as boy clubs, why not form strong alliances between women to support each other and to lift each other up?
Absolutely. What a great idea.
So absolutely, we need to be the voices. We need to be the faces of other women that want to participate in society fully, and and we have to create those spaces where women can flourish and can show who they really are. Uh, because a lot of the women that I work with are smart, are capable, are passionate, and they have everything that they need to to do a fantastic job. And I believe that that is their main motivation for wanting to have a job. You know, I the women that I work with are not the ones that want to stay at home. Nothing wrong with that. But the women that I work with know that they have skills and talent and that they want to put those skills, talents and knowledge to the service of other people. And that's why they want to work as professionals.
So, going by what you said, how do you help them? How do you help the women?
Well, one of the things that I noticed during my own process and also listening to what professional migrant women need is that um, there are big gaps. And I had identified three main gaps. The first one is about personal connection, a community, a family, a tribe. So back home, I had my aunties, I have my sister, I have my friends, and we all, supported each other in different ways. Of course, my brothers, my dad, my uncles, you know, but it is that sisterhood that I miss that uh, since I moved to Australia. So having that sisterhood and that community that supports you, not only intellectually but emotionally, is very, very important. So,
Absolutely.
one of the things that I strive to do with my organization and my mentoring program is to form that community,
And that
you know,
sisterhood.
that sisterhood that is so important.
Yes.
So, you know what? If I feel low today, who can I call? Who can I go and have a cup of coffee with? You know, I remember that there were a few times in my process here that I just wanted to go and visit my mom and sit in the couch with her and have a chat. And that resource wasn't available for me anymore.
No.
So of course our loved ones are irreplaceable, but we can find connections in here that, and we can form strong bonds that can help us go through those moments in life. So community, I think, is essential in this settlement process. Um, and then that takes me to the second part, which is networks, professional networks. So once you have those relationships that lift you up and that support you and nourish you, they can also open the door for some professional networks. So I know someone that can talk to you, or that you can call and have a chat with. Um, Again, I think that was one of the main gaps for me. So I've always thought of myself as a confident and outgoing person. I'm not shy to talk to strangers, or to come up to people, but how
Yes.
or where? Where do you find these people to talk to?
Yes. Yes.
Um, and I think that was a challenge, a bigger challenge back then, bigger than now, because right now I think one of the best things that could have come out of this pandemic time has been this online connection, and LinkedIn has been fantastic.
Thanks
So
to LinkedIn,
we,
I found you. Yes. So, yes,
that's
it's been
right.
great. Yes.
So if people want to reach out for other professionals, I think LinkedIn is the best platform to do that. And if you are on LinkedIn as a professional, my presupposition is that that you are open, to connect with other people. Otherwise, why would you bother? You know,
Absolutely.
of course, there is an etiquette and there is a process, and and there are ways of going about that. And I am very um, respectful of those processes. Um, but I think right now, it is much easier for us to build those networks. Um, I think in general, most of the women that I work with don't feel confident enough to jump on LinkedIn and connect with somebody, or let alone, ask them for a cup of coffee or virtual coffee or something. We build those skills. We we teach people how to get out of their comfort zone and how to communicate with people and how to go through that process. So they not only can meet other people, but they also learn to show themselves and to share their message and to be seen. Um, So those are the first two things, and
Yes.
the third one is about professional development. And I can summarize that professional development as in the Australian way. So for me, it's about okay, how to do networking in Australia, or how to do networking, full stop, because people don't know how to do that.
Yes.
How to prepare, a cover letter or a CV, because probably the way you used to do it in your country is much different to how you do it here.
Absolutely, it is. Yes.
How to sell yourself, you know, how to talk about your skills and your qualities, or as we like to call them, your superpowers.
Yes.
Um, how to be remembered, how to leave your message with other people so they also pass it on to other people. So all of those little things that are so important in the Australian context is what we share with people in our professional development workshops. Um, and so we package all of those components in our mentoring program.
Yes. Okay.
And our mentoring program is a 6-month program, and we have small groups of 10 people per uh, so we have 10 people per group.
Yes.
Uh, in that way, you can actually form those connections. So we don't have a one-to-one
Yes.
mentorship relationship or mentoring relationship. We do have one mentor per 10 people.
People. Yes.
And it is in that way that we can share learning, we can grow together, we have a support network, um, and we can go through this process together.
And build a
Uh,
community.
and build a community that will support you even after you finish the program, and that has happened, is happening, and is continuing to happen. um, Now, there is one thing that I learned as a trainer. um, First of all, as a learner, I have attended many courses in my life. I love that. But one of the things that I realized too was that um, if I didn't put those skills into practice, or that knowledge into practice, I will not develop my skills.
Yes.
Um, and I know that there are some programs out there that teach people how to do a resume, a cover letter, and they can teach people how to do, a job interview, or teach you the fundamentals of how to do any of those things. And I compare, and to be honest with you, I think they are really good courses, really valuable um, courses with amazing information. But information and knowledge are different. Knowledge and practice are different. Um, I say to people, I can give you give you a book about swimming, but
But you
unless you
can't.
jump in the pool, you will not be able to learn how to swim. And I think that what we do in our mentoring program is to give you a pool, is to give you the book, and is to give you the pool. So you learn how to do things, and you also get to practice the principles that we teach people. Um, and I believe that 6 months is enough time for you to incorporate some of those concepts, and to leave those concepts, and to um, make them into, or make them part of your practices. So, and also 6 months is enough time for you
Yes.
to get to know your team and build those, relationship and that community.
Thank you. Um, so, what does your team look like?
What does our team look like? We have a very diverse team. And I am very, very, very privileged to be supported by a number of volunteers. Our volunteers are very diverse. As in, well, they're all women, but they come from different places and they have different backgrounds as well. Uh, as in, so we have people in marketing and communication, we have people in change management, but we also have engineers, um, and we have people, with that just graduated from university, but we also have people that have PhD. So um, we have a really big range of people in in our team, and our team is growing, which is even more exciting. And the plan is to have mentoring sessions in Adelaide, Sydney, and Brisbane as
Wow.
of January 2021. So, yes. And so we are recruiting people from all of those places too. We are recruiting migrant women from those places. And that's why I can say that we have that diverse range of people. So, yes, we do have, we are, in this moment, we are training our next mentors as well as the people that will help us with resumes and cover letters.
Yeah.
So all our mentees will be able to have, that full experience, that full package of, okay, a mentor that can guide them, through some of these steps that I've mentioned before, as well as somebody that can help them with more technical things like, for example, a resume and a cover letter.
And addressing key selection criteria. That's the most important
Oh,
thing.
oh my God. Yes, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, so I graduated as a criminologist in Venezuela. And as such, I suppose I was destined to work for government, in one way or another, or in the public sector. And the one thing I didn't know in Australia is that when you apply for, government jobs or for jobs in the public sector, you do have to address the selection criteria.
And
God,
that's
what a
so
learning
pain.
curve.
Yes. Yes. I think
Yes,
we've all
yes.
been through that. Yes.
Oh,
And
but it's also a fantastic learning opportunity. Like, when I was in the midst of it, it felt really challenging. It felt really hard. But when you take, some distance from that process and you look back, I now can say that I learned so much about the Australian um, workplace by addressing those selection criteria. You know, it was a very hard challenge for me to translate my Venezuelan experience with, to the Australian context.
yes.
Sorry, I think I lose you for a minute.
No, that's okay. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so sometimes it was very challenging for me to translate, what I've done in Venezuela and put it into the Australian context. But it was also a way for me to learn the vocabulary, to learn, you know, um, the way that people thought in Australia. And I give you an example. In Venezuela, I was responsible for a team of 20 people. I was working for a local government. And in Venezuela, there is a very big reality is that, the public sector doesn't have resources. The resources are very, very, very limited. So I had to make do with whatever I could get my hands onto. And I did develop this skill of engaging the community and asking them for the things that we needed, so we could actually deliver the service that we meant to. Uh, when i when I started working here in Australia, I was given a budget, and at the end of the financial year I did have to spend everything I had in my budget. And I'm thinking, but what if I save these to the next year, so I can. No, 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 no,
And
you have to spend it. So, and I believe that it would have been very, very hard for people to understand that I had to I had to do the best that I could with nothing, basically.
yes,
However, that's a very important skill, learning how to be resourceful. But translating that wasn't easy.
no, no. It
Uh,
was, I can imagine.
identifying that, yeah, wasn't an easy thing for me to do. It's only when you look back and when you understand, when you have perspective, that you are able to put a name onto some of those things.
Um, so you've told me what women get out of your program, what you do, how to help them. Now comes the biggest question that I feel as a migrant woman. I have been here for 16 years, and like everybody, the first couple of years are difficult. You're getting you to know people, you build your network. But when you first come, although you have the qualifications, you are different because your qualifications, what you had in your country of birth, is of no use in Australia. People here want Australian qualifications, yet nobody wants to give you that foot in the door. You
Mm.
know, your work ethics are different. Your accent is different. Your accent is different. My accent is different. The work culture is different. What would you tell people who have come here, say, 6 months ago, or a year ago, or 2 years ago, and still trying to look for a job?
Well, the first thing that I will say is keep going. Uh, if there's one thing that I have seen time and time again, is that those who persevere find what they want. I wouldn't say that it's easy. It wasn't easy for me. It's not necessarily easy for some of the people that I work with. Yes, there are some exceptions. You know, there are some people that, for whatever reason, they are in the right place at the right time and
Yes,
have the necessary skills, and 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 I think luck is in their side. But that's the exception, not the
yes,
norm.
absolutely. Yes, not the norm.
So, um, for those people who say to me, "Oh, yeah, but I don't have that mindset, and I found my job easily," I said, "Good on you, and I congratulate you, and I'm really, really happy for you." I know, though, that it is not the reality of the majority of people.
I agree
Having
with you.
said that, this is not the reality for the majority of people. Uh, People can do it. Um, and my challenge, I suppose, is, okay, take a look at what have you been doing and the results that you got, and think about what you want. And we go back to that definition of madness. If you keep doing what you've done, you're gonna get what you got. So if you're still doing the same thing and you expect different results, I doubt you will find that. So try something different. You know, I do have, these organizations that help women to do something different, and we do challenge women, and we make them get out of their comfort zone, and they do get results. They do. But, you know, they don't have to necessarily join my organization. There are many other options out there. I just challenge you to do something different, to try a new approach, to get out of your comfort zone, to network in different ways, to promote yourself in different ways, or to promote yourself because some people just don't do it. So take a look, make an inventory and think about, okay, what is what I'm doing? Probably this worked for a bit, but it's not working anymore. And I just need to level up and do something that is a bit different. Um, as I said, I'm not going to say that this is easy. It's not. If anything, I feel that finding a job in, the best of time is like a marathon. It is a long run. It's not a sprint. It's not a 100-meter race. It is a marathon. And as such, we need to prepare ourselves uh, emotionally and mentally and be ready to do things in different ways. Now, I also want to share something that I learned this week. Or, I was listening to somebody and it made so much sense to me. Yes, this is a marathon. And you know what? I know that if you picture in your head running a marathon and crossing the finishing line, it will be an amazing feeling. But sometimes you also could feel that getting there is unattainable, you know, and sometimes you might feel that you want to quit before the finishing line. Um, and I think that's when people become a bit, anxious or depressed. This week, I heard somebody saying that we also have to celebrate our small achievements
Absolutely. Yes.
because those are the ones that will maintain that focus, that energy, and will give us, the oomph that we need to cross that finishing line. So, um, again, to summarize this and to answer your question, my advice will be keep going. I think that if you are a migrant, if you are a professional, and if you made all the sacrifices that you probably did to be here, quitting is not in
An
your
option.
agenda.
And it's not
No,
an
so
option. Yes.
it's not an option. So keep going, keep going, keep going. That's number one. Number two, uh, if what you're doing is not working, do something different. Try something different. Find a community that supports you, maybe two friends or something like that. Um, Number three, celebrate your small wins because they are the ones that will give you that extra energy that you need to cross the finishing line. And I think the last thing that I will suggest is to have some clarity, to have some clarity about where you want to go. Because when you focus your energies on what you want for your life, then things become much easier. And again, if I can expand on that because I haven't talked about it, that came to me through networking and through participation. You know, 2 3 years ago, I knew I wanted a change, but I just didn't know what that change looked like or what that contribution would look like. But it was by reading, by listening to podcasts, by participating in events or community events for me, uh, that I found that I understood my purpose and my call. And if you're not clear about that, that's okay. uh, I don't believe that everybody has to have that clarity from day one. No, but then go and find clarity. Talk to people. Get different perspective and different ideas. I know that you will recognize your call when you experience it.
Wow, that's great advice. Last one for the evening, Fabiola. What about women who want to work but don't have the experience? What
Um,
can they do?
Look, um, everybody has to start somewhere,
Yes.
and I've I had so many stories. I've heard so many stories of, and I'm just gonna tell you one story and probably one way to do this. So one of the people that participated, one of the women that participated in one of our mentoring sessions, was saying how she used to be or work in marketing in her country. She was a marketing professional. When she came to Australia, she found a job in a butcher, and she was selling. She was a salesperson in the butcher, um, and every time the owner came to the shop, sorry, she said that after 3 months working in there, she could see that the business could improve with some marketing. And every time the owner came around, which was probably once a week or something, you know, she took every opportunity she could and she went to talk to him and she started, suggesting a few ideas and asking him to give her an opportunity in the marketing department. Um, what I love about this story is the persistence that this person had and the tenacity, if you like. Uh, Even though she was uh, working as a butcher, I suppose, she knew that she could be doing something different. She had
And
the
she was
courage
aiming
to
high.
ask.
Yes.
Sorry,
She was aiming
say
high.
that again.
She was
She was
aiming
aiming
high.
high. Absolutely. She had the courage to ask for it. And even when he was denied, time and time again, she persisted and she kept asking the same person. I think that's tenacious. Well, guess what? Uh, I think she insisted so much that the owner said, "Okay, I'm gonna give you a chance." I'm gonna give you. I think she gave her an opportunity to work part time in the office for about 2 months. After 2 months, he offered her a full time position in the office doing the marketing. And after a short time again, she was promoted as the marketing coordinator. So the position didn't exist,
No, they
but
made the
she was
position for
able,
you.
yep, and she was able to prove her worth. You know, so I think that that story is amazing because it shows the trajectory, and it shows that it doesn't matter where is your starting point. You can make your inroads and you can achieve what you want, or demonstrate what your skills are. I know that that's not the case for everybody. So what other people can do, and probably this is not news for anybody, but I think volunteering is a good opportunity.
Absolutely. I agree. That's how I started volunteering.
Also, um, so volunteering is one, and also look for organizations that receive people to do work experiences. So again, at the city of Whittlesea, where I currently work, um, we do have a program for professional migrants that want to have their first professional experience in Australia. Um, it's similar to an internship. The difference is that it's for professional with actual experience, work experience. And I know that these kind of programs exist in different organizations. So look around, find that kind of opportunities and demonstrate your worth. The good thing about these two different scenarios of volunteering or work experience is number one, you will be able to show your professional skills to people, and if possible, if given the opportunity, you will be able to to perform, probably on a higher level than what you are required to
Yes,
do initially. And the other thing that I think is very, very important is to be connected. You know, to establish those relationships that can get you into, paid jobs. Um, and for me, one of the most important rules about networking is not to talk to somebody expecting uh, for them to give you a job. I think the most important thing about networking is to get to know the other person and to give the other person the opportunity to get to know you. And if that person is open to that, to know you, then it is your responsibility to become unforgettable, to plant some ideas and some seeds onto people's mind that no matter where they go, they will remember you and they will be your ambassadors and they will put a good word for you. So whenever you can, do more than is expected, I suppose, so people can see your value, your commitment, your dedication, and you can become unforgettable and you will build those relationships that will open some doors for you.
I hope so. I hope so for all the women who are out there, because
Yes,
networking is
absolutely.
the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah, but there are ways of doing it. uh, Again, probably when one of the things that the most amazing changes that we see throughout the mentoring program is how people are terrified of networking, absolutely terrified. um and if I may just tell a little story, um when we started the program last year, I said to one of my mentees, well, you have to do networking. And she said, oh, but what is that and how do you do that, and I've never done that. And I said, well, I will introduce you to some people. Mind you, back in the day, we still met face to face,
Yes.
and some people, uh, people came to see us, and I will introduce them to my mentees, and say, well, it is your responsibility to follow up. To connect on LinkedIn, to get a phone number or an email address, and then you do a follow up call or email or something, and then you plan a coffee or something. And she was absolutely terrified of doing it. And deep down, I thought, oh, this is going to be a challenge for her. Never mind. A few weeks after that, I caught up with one of my friends and said, hey, by the way, I caught up with your mentee. Oh, which one?
Mhm.
Oh, such and such. I thought, oh, oh,
Wow.
that's good. Oh, you know. And like that, I just met or talked to maybe two or three people, and they were all telling me that they have caught up with this mentee. So I saw my mentee and I said, hey, I heard, that you've been catching up with people. And she said, yes, I have. And it's way more fun than I thought. And I don't even know what I was afraid about. You know, and that was such a big change and so satisfactory. Um, because when people have a go, they actually find things that they might actually enjoy.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
On this note, we'll end tonight. Thank you so much for coming to the show, Fabiola. This has been absolutely fantastic. And thanks for sharing all your expertise. This has been really, really good.
Oh no, thank you, Sal. I think your questions have been very generous for me to tell all of these stories. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for letting me share these experiences with your audience.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Bye.
And bye bye. You have a good night too.
Goodbye.